Morning. I'm here to talk astrology, to do a reading. But first, we take in the music, the beautiful sound, maybe even move a little bit. Greetings, goddesses. Come on in. Yes. So happy to be here this morning. I will introduce myself right now as Iya, Tyra Omilade, your goddess guru, your sister friend. And I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess-centered lifestyle. And we're talking a little bit about the Ifa Orisha tradition too, which is why I introduced myself as Iya. But first, let's continue to take in the music, sounds of Africa. Yes. Woo. I still crack up. My astrologer or astrology teacher, Victor, I still laugh about it to this day. When I told Victor, I don't want to teach dance and fitness anymore, he was like, no, you got to keep teaching dance. You've got to keep teaching dance. And I was like, I don't want to. And he was right. Well, his interpretation was right. What he saw was right. My chart says, girl, you got to include that music and that dance, baby. How are you, goddesses? Welcome, welcome. So happy that you are here. Again, I'm Tyra Omilade, and I want to talk to you about what we are going to be focusing on in May in terms of the astrology. I want to do a reading for you all. And yes, I am a little fixated on Ifa, the Ifa Orisha tradition right now. I am initiated, which is why I introduced myself as Iya this morning. And I am looking forward to taking ladies through this process. Who is ready to get their lekes? Sister, do you hear the call? Do you hear the call of your Ori, of the Orisha, your ancestors? Do you hear the call of this 6,000 plus year tradition of which so many of us are a part and have found so much peace, love, and joy because we do the work? Just being a part of it doesn't just make things magically happen, but it is a better way, not a better way, but it is a way to help us to better frame how we see the world. And so much of why I'm doing this is, for me, it's very empowering to have a tradition where it's like, oh, we need some protection, baby. Where is Ogun? Where are those warriors? Eshu, Ogun, Ochozi, Osun? Or, I really need to connect with this energy of the mother, Yemonja. Or, baby, where is the abundance? As a matter of fact, I went to the oracle and got an Odu for us today. And yeah, it's interesting. But anywho, this Odu, Oshun speaks to the Odu, and it talked about the story talked about how she's all about abundance. It's like we think about, some people are visual learners and auditory learners. And then there's that kinesthetic learning. Baby, I think Ifa actually involves them all, but for sure, kinesthetic. There's something about working with the Orisha that just makes it like, baby, I get to do some things, to make some changes in my life, to bring some healing, to bring healing and protection all around my family. I want you all to have that. Is it only possible with this tradition? Of course not. You can have whatever tradition or no tradition and do all of that. But I do like doing it through this tradition. I am not even going to say anything otherwise. Okay. So, yeah, gonna be talking about that a little bit. So I will just go ahead and start out with saying, and if you look in the description box, you'll see a link that takes you to this page, the Sacred Calabash Ileke initiation. And if you scroll down, it's gonna tell you everything. Oh, okay, hold on. I have to refresh this because I made the video autoplay. There I am. So it kind of gives you a little bit of, yeah, I talk about where we're headed so that you can get more information. I've made some audios for people to listen to. On Sunday, I walk through who this is for, who this is not for, help you to better understand me, better to understand what you can get out of this particular initiation. So, yeah, go on ahead and check it out. And again, link in the description box. And I'm going to talk a little bit today, maybe I don't know. We'll see. Actually, what we're going to do, because I want to give you all that feel of what it is like to be a part of this tradition. I think sometimes we talk so much and it's just a lot of information. And I know sometimes people describe what I give as information. I do want to give information, but more than anything, I want you to feel it. I want you to sense it and experience it. Okay. So I just want to start off with a little bit of an invocation. It's a little bit different, but from what I typically do, but different is good. So I just ask that you, as we begin to bring ourselves together, opening ourselves to learn about the astrology for May and to receive the oracle readings, just take a few deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. Long, slow, deep breath. And just feeling yourself drop into this now moment. And I created an invocation and I just want to share this with you all. A lot of times you'll hear people say, "E caro, e caro." In Yoruba, that means good morning. So doesn't matter though. We say it here in the diaspora all the time. E caro, my beautiful sisters. I greet you in peace and power as we rise into a new day guided by purpose, intuition, and divine alignment. So as we begin, let us open the way by calling on the energies that lead, guide, and support us. I call on the sacred forces that guide us. You and I both right now call on our Ori, our higher selves, the divine spark within that knows your purpose. We honor the ancestors of light, those whose strength flows through our veins, who walk beside us as we live, move about in our lives, and seek to live in alignment with our destiny. I invoke the presence of the Orisha, and in particular, I will call on the Orisha Obatala, Shango, Eshu Alegua, Yemoja, Oshun. May their wisdom speak through my words and their power radiate as we share today about the astrology. Today, we offer this time to the Great Mother, to Onile Pachamama, Mother Earth. May she ground us. To Yemoja and Oshun, may they nurture us with love and beauty and open us to the abundance within. To Obatala, may clarity and wisdom guide our path. And to Eshu, please Eshu, open the way. Remove all obstacles to divine truth. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. May what I share today bring light, clarity, and inspiration. May each of you who listens feel seen, empowered, and spiritually aligned. May we all together remember who we are and why we came here. Ashe. And so we will begin with the May astrology. That's just something I made up. That's not out of a book or anything. I just want to be clear. But Anifa, Sometimes you just gotta make it work, right? But I do want to say I'm so in the goddess tradition that as I do this EFI work, I must remember we do call on the energy of Eshu, Alegua, um, because um, yeah, we call I wanna make sure I do that. I'm sorry, I kinda got lost in the thought because this energy does support us. So I wanna make sure I start this is one of the things that I love about putting this together because it's making me just really get back in like to the foundational things or whatever. But yeah, it's just I love this. It feels enriching for me. And the reason I'm bringing up Eshu is because we are looking at astrology, and actually one of the planets of strength in astrology is Mercury. It's Mercury, which is the same energy as Eshu Legba. Okay, so let's talk May. I was looking at well, I didn't really look at the video, but I just saw the title of something that an astrologer put out saying, "Ooh, we finally have a good month." And once I looked at it this morning, I was like, "Oh wow, May is much better." To me, we have things playing in the backdrop. There's a lot going on still, and I want us to remember that astrology doesn't happen in a day. There's often a something that has been kind of like activated. That's how I describe it. Something has been activated. And so we're still working with the energy. However, there's not a lot of activations happening that are, say, for instance, a new beginning or something that is pressurizing or a little frustrating and kind of pushing you. There's not a lot of that happening. So it feels more like May is a month of integration. And we need that. So, it's the 6th. I'm a little late making this, but I'm in the middle of talking to people about the launch. So about their like initiation. So yes. So at the beginning of the month on the 2nd, and now this is an activation. I know it's the 2nd, but I do want to mention it. Venus conjunct Neptune. And the reason this one is important is because it is a new beginning. Now, this has happened 3 times. And so Venus and Neptune are almost the same energy. Uh, it is said that Neptune is a higher octave of Venus. And they yeah, so they both Venus is like manifestation, relationships, money, what you desire. uh it's a feminine planet, and she is what you call a benefic excuse me, a benefic planet. She's a fortune minor. There's the fortune major, which is Jupiter, this huge planet, and then there's fortune minor, which is Venus. And so, interestingly, I keep getting this Odu that is related to Oshun. Oshun is the goddess that, out of this particular tradition in Ifa, that has to do with Venus. And so, what this is all about, I think, what this Odu says is desiring spiritual growth and evolution leads to abundance. That is such a good way of understanding Venus and Neptune because Neptune is spiritual. Now, we'll say both are highly creative. And so, those two planets meeting again in Aries, I'll show you where they are. They're not together today, but meeting in Aries. Let's just go back. That was on the 1st. Okay. So they met, it looks like on the 1st degree. That is a huge big deal because Aries is all about the spring and new beginnings and meeting right there, 0, 1 degree of Aries, that's like a reset button right in that area of the astro wheel. Press that reset button is what it's all about. So this is part of the reason why this year is just so impactful, because right now there's a lot happening that is reshaping the world right before our very eyes. I find it fascinating that we have read about these kinds of times in history books. And I promise you, it seems like I have lived through some amazing historical times, but there's been nothing like this where the world order literally is being shifted. I do wonder, and maybe it's harder for me to receive it because I live here in the United States, but right around, I don't know, January, I started looking at videos about Stoics, and some kind of way I got on to looking at something about Julius Caesar. Never have studied much about Julius Caesar, nothing like that. And as I looked at that video, I was like, wait a minute. Julius Caesar was someone who was taking a democracy and he was becoming a dictator. And that's how people started taking him down or did take him down. It's because he was taking Rome in the wrong direction, or, all of the empire, the Roman Empire, in the wrong direction. And how it's like, wow, this is repeating now. Um, and and so hold on, let me see here. Where did I come from? Let me think about it. Oh, shifting of the world order. This is just one of many things that's happening that's shifting this world order. And we've recently had the eclipses here, but we have read about this in ancient times, and now it's literally happening. The one thing that I will say is we have, in my opinion, a little bit of an advantage, but in a way, humans just going to do what humans do. So we'll see what we do. But we know what's happening. And my question is, what are you calling into the world? What world are you calling for? Are you calling for there to be, a certain type of world order? And I encourage you, as a divine feminine being who's so powerful, to put out, what world do you envision and call forth for your children, your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren, the children of the world? What world are you calling forth? Because Neptune is a planet that is about, the world. The outer planets, they're about the greater society. But you want to do the same thing in your life. What is it that you want to call into your life? Now, I do believe that this is very spiritual. So it could be helping us step more into, this deeper spirituality, connecting more to the divine, maybe even the feminine, the great mother, because it's Venus, feminine, Neptune, divine. Now, this is high creative energy, highly, highly creative energy. I don't even remember what I was doing on Friday. I need to really think about it. Oh, I went for it. So yeah, it was definitely, because I went back to the first. So yeah, they met on 1 degree of Aries. So yeah, you want to think back. What were you doing on that day? Shoots, I'm just really confused about what I was doing. And but still we're in this energy of it even today. This week, I want you to open yourself in up to calling in what is it that you wish to create in your life. And this is like a miracle can happen, or you just are spiritually attuned and you know what to do energetically to manifest that which you want. So it's a very important um transit, because this is again the third time this has happened. The first two times it happened, what Neptune was actually in Pisces. So this is the first time that Venus has met Neptune since Neptune is coming to Aries. And so Pisces is going to be more about releasing, purging, letting things go. And it's almost like Pisces is preparing you for this new birth of what's happening in Aries right now, okay? But since it happened in Aries, it might be something that you're calling in as it relates to your body, because Aries has to do with the body, or something around like moving your body and that kind of thing. So the next thing, okay, Pluto retrograde. Pluto went retrograde on May 4th. And so this happens every year right around this time. I've noticed I've been looking at Pluto retrograde for almost 10 years now, and it retrogrades in the spring. And it'll be retrograde for about 6 months, I think. So the time that this matters the most is when it is slowing down to retrograde. And so there may have been this energy of intensity, which there has been a lot of intense energy here lately. Oh my goodness. Pluto has been doing the most. Part of the reason it was so intense is Pluto has been opposite Mars. And they're still sort of opposing one another, even though Mars is moving on. But this is a level of intensity because both of these planets bring intensity and fire, and it's almost destructive because Mars wants to cut and Pluto just wants to just destroy. It just wants to just disintegrate whatever. So that's part of the reason it has felt like that. But also, this was happening right around the time that Pluto was slowing down. And so, in order for a planet to go retrograde, which means when we look at it in the sky, it looks like it's moving backwards. In order for it to go retrograde, it has to stop. It's called station. And so, this happened with Pluto stationed. So it's like slowing down in order for it to change direction. And that brings, without Mars being opposing to it, even more intensity. Okay. So we'll start finding that, Pluto intensity from slowing down to retrograde is going to diminish. And then it's going to start retracing its steps. It won't go back into Capricorn, thank the goddess. Look, got me sweating over here just thinking about it. But it is going to have us revisiting certain topics in those first 3 degrees of Aquarius. Okay. So I just encourage you to think about where you have been asked to transform. Aquarius has to do with progress. It's also sciency. Um, it has to do with groups, groups that you're a part of. And maybe you could say friends, but it's also like groups that you have a shared interest with. So it may be, it could be you're really into learning about going out into nature and identifying plants or something. My husband's doing that right now, so that's where I got that from. And you're just immersed in a group with people who are interested in that. But it could be something around friends. So, but I can tell you community is coming up more and more. I'm noticing how a lot of people are saying, "Hey, we definitely need to make sure that we are being with people of like mind and finding ways to support one another." I will say this is activism. So it could be we're going to be revisiting topics. The topics that we've seen highlighted are going to be even more so highlighted. And maybe there's going to need to be a little bit of a resolution to some of them, but it's also very rebellious. Aquarius is rebellious. So where do you find yourself feeling super rebellious? This might be a topic, but it's like you revisit this. Not a super important transit in the sense that it changes our daily lives because It's very psychological. Pluto is very much about the psyche. So it's a lot of internal shifts and changes, but it shows up as themes in your life. And the themes are the ones that I just described to you that are very Aquarius. I think that this is an important transit because, again, Pluto is the most outer planet. And, talk about changing society. And, my little Pluto, not my Pluto, my little Jupiter self, I have Jupiter in the first house. So it makes me very Sag like. As a matter of fact, my progress sign is Sag. So it's like, yeah, um, it's for the people. Aquarius is for the people. So Pluto going into Aquarius is going to be about the people because Aquarius does recommend, it does have to do with society. And I thought, okay, I probably should have considered, I didn't want to. I'm going to be honest with you. Astrologers, we can be biased and we need to admit when we're biased. And I always will tell y'all, I got to lean towards the positive because otherwise it makes me just feel like, oh my gosh. But I wish I had allowed myself to really go there. I wasn't in my stoic season yet at that point to really go there. Like, this could just be like society is going to be sort of, I don't want to say destroyed, but it's definitely a huge change. Is Pluto change? And it's just something that we need to embrace at this point. And I encourage you to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and finding ways to be with community where you feel supportive. We have Mars down here in Leo that's kind of like this lone, I'm the king, I'm the queen. It's all about me. We even have all this going on in Aries. It's all about me. Well, it needs to be all about you within a group at some point. Yes, there's some things that you need to do on your own. And I recommend that you connect yourself with the group and get support and offer support. It's very important right now. So the next thing that we'll look at is Mercury is moving into Taurus. So Mercury is going to be in two signs this month. Mercury is getting its momentum back. It's moving, moving, moving. So it'll be in Taurus on the 10th, and then it will be in Gemini on May 25th. So Mercury is the mind. And so whenever Mercury goes into a sign, it'll put our mind on that sign, the things that sign rules. So while it's in Taurus, it'll put our mind on things like money, self-care, food, things that have to do with the earth, because Taurus is the earth, our material possessions. It's truly a sign that has to do with resources. So I can imagine there's going to be a lot of on our mind about that, and also a lot of talk because Mercury is talking and communication. So we'll hear more and more about resources, and it's obvious that that's what's going to happen because that's what so many, at least here in the United States, but I think around the world, everyone's talking about supply chains and what's happening with who's going to be able to get what because of tariffs and, agreements made with who and where things originated and where we're going to get stuff and where is it going to come from. Oh my gosh, right? I think that it is a lot of us are going to be planting gardens. I am. I'm late, but guess what? It stays warm thanks to global warming. It stays warm very long time. I'll be fine. But we have Uranus down here in Taurus. Well, the sun is there now also, but Uranus has been there since 2018, I think. And it's shaking up the money sector. Interestingly, I think that the money piece, because I just kept hearing people say, hey, we're going in a recession or whatever years ago. And we never went there. I think part of it is because Jupiter was here in Taurus for a while, for a year. Along with Uranus, we had the North Node there. So there was a lot there that was keeping us. It was like this new beginnings around money. And I know some people have struggled, but overall, there was something like about that time where it was this strength. Well, now Uranus is in the last, it's getting towards these last degrees of Taurus. And in astrology, once these planets, especially these big ones, start going into these last degrees, it's like this disintegration happens, which is why I didn't like Neptune at the end of Pisces. I was just like, Neptune, move on. Let's go. Let's get out. Let's go. But anywho, so we have Neptune there. And even Pluto, because Aquarius has to do with supply chains also. Um, yeah, I just think that, and just we hear all of the talk, all of what's going on in the world. I can imagine that when Mercury moves into Taurus, there's going to be lots of talk about stuff, right? Some of us are going to be like, okay, where do I go get whatever? Some of us might even just be kind of like looking at the stuff that you have and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with all this stuff, or whatever the themes are that come up for you. Okay. So Mercury in Taurus, that's going to put us quite a bit into thinking about and talking about all things Taurus. Now it's about food and what you're eating. It's about self-care, all of those things. Money, it will have your mind on your money and your money on your mind, baby. So these, don't be surprised when that comes up. And then Mercury's going to go into Gemini on May 25th. And we'll feel our mind shift just like that. And now our mind is on all things Gemini, which I personally believe is an important sign because Jupiter has been in Gemini. Jupiter does not belong in Gemini, but we got to deal with it. Once every 12 years, Jupiter will be in Gemini. No disrespect, this don't have anything to do with Gemini. It has to do with the fact that Gemini and Jupiter don't match. Jupiter is what is called debilitated in Gemini. Why? Because Jupiter is the big picture, and it's like philosophy, and it's this ability to think very long in a long way for a long time, and pondering and getting the answers. And it's very big energy, whereas Mercury is like, hey, I just need a quick short answer, little conversation. Baby, we're not even going that deep because like it's not that serious. Some Geminis, especially if their Gemini energy is really prominent and not overshadowed by something else, they're just like, why everybody getting so serious? We need to have a little fun. Just say it and let's keep going. So we have this sign that wants to talk and do all this talking. I mean, all this deep thinking in this sign that's like, I just want to know a little bit here, a little bit there. I'm very curious. To me, it is not bode well. I'm ready for Jupiter to leave. I'm ready for Jupiter. I'm like, Jupiter, go get into Cancer. So when we have Mercury go into Gemini, I'm hoping that, and plus the sun will be there. I'm hoping that it will kind of bring something to kind of balance out this Jupiter. Now, Jupiter's wanted us to work on our belief system. So, Mercury in Gemini, first of all, it's going to make our minds go, 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 really move fast. And we might have all these little things that we want to do. And, we're kind of curious. I hope it brings some fun. And, but it is about the belief system. And so some of us will begin to really, maybe it's a new belief system with this new world order that's coming up. We got to have a whole new way of believing, a whole new way of thinking. And Mercury is coming through now, for the first time with two major planets having shifted. Well, by this time, Saturn will actually be, let's just move out 1 second. As my husband would say, G Monetti. So Yeah, right before Mercury goes into Gemini. Look at that. Saturn, 0 degrees of Aries. So Mercury has not been in Gemini since Pluto was in Aquarius for good, Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries. Woo! Wowzers. Okay, so yeah. Woo! Anywho, let me go back. So now Mercury is, on the 25th, Mercury is going to be in Gemini for the first time, that all this new beginnings energy has kicked in. And so it's having us start kind of say, hey, what is it that I need to think about? It is a social sign, and it really likes small groups. Gemini is about small groups. So it might bring up a little bit more of a emphasis around getting with that small group. Um, some of us might travel a little bit more. And let's see here. What else? Mercury in Gemini. It is definitely about communication. I think that the news cycle and just all the things that we see being put out on social media, all of that is going to be heightened during this time. And to a certain degree, there's a little bit of hope for me. Now, this is astrology. I'm not just being my Jupiterian self. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, because Jupiter, excuse me, all of these planets, Mercury, the sun, will be what is called trining Pluto. And a trine is a blessing. Okay. A trine is, in fact, a blessing. So Mercury, right away, going into Gemini, it brings this energy of this Jupiterian energy, this trine energy. The one caveat that I'll give around anything Jupiterian, the trine, is you need to be doing the things that you want to happen in your life. So I just encourage you right now, do your best to be thinking and feeling and focused on the things that you most want in your life. I feel like this is a time for us to stand on our spiritual business. All the things that we have been learning have brought us to this moment. And I'm not going to even sit here and act like I'm not struggling some days. I'm having to have lots of conversations with myself about, hey, you know what the truth is, you know how you're supposed to live. You cannot let this world change you and make you be anything other than what you are. And in E5 we talk about good character. Do not step outside of your good character, Tyra. And you're gonna have to be strong. You have to, that's that Aries energy. You're gonna have to be strong. All right. So um that's one thing that I love. We're gonna have this Mercury with the sun. They're all gonna be interacting with Pluto. Pluto is empowerment. I didn't mention that. It is about standing in your power, owning your power, tapping the power within. And so maybe we're going to be able to mentally begin to feel that way. I do believe that on the social level, we're going to see, I hope it's a blessing, but are we doing what we need to do now in order to reap that blessing on a social level? Time will tell. Time will tell. It's not that many weeks. We're on our way. But also, as soon as Mercury goes into Gemini, it's going to immediately interact with Saturn and Neptune. So I love that. I love that so much. Because what that means is it's a sextile. And a sextile brings the energy of support. It doesn't bring like a trine will just bring that blessing, that gift to you, and it's just so easy. Whereas a sextile, which is 60 degrees, it's the same energy actually as Venus. Talk about Venus again. It's the same energy as Venus. And but it's like you have to actually do something to possess it. It's not going to just come to you. Think about how many times there's been something there and all you had to do was receive it and you didn't. And you're like, dang, I just let that opportunity slip away. That's to me what a sextile is like. So I want you just to know there's going to be a lot of opportunity for blessings and good things to come, but we actually will have to do something to receive them. And it might be we have to make the right connections or we need to be having the right conversations. And Venus has already given us at the top of this month that ability to tap in and tune into spirit and really be guided by spirit to listen to our intuition. So I'm excited about Mercury going into Gemini, even though I know that's going to mean our minds are just whoo, click, 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 click. So I do love that. I do love that. Okay, so that's Mercury. We're going to have that full moon in Scorpio, and this will be on the 12th. So full moon in Scorpio, woo, very powerful. I'm going to pull it up. Okay, full moon in Scorpio. This is gonna be pretty, it's gonna be pretty, it's gonna be pretty intense. It's gonna be pretty intense. It's at 22. At 22, I don't know how to, well, I guess I could make it smaller, but uh, let me just do this. 'Cause I can't take this. So, oh, that's even better. Okay, 22 of um Scorpio. And Scorpio's intensity is that intensity that we talked about with Pluto. So it's heavy intensity. I will say I do like that the planet that rules oh no, this is oh dang. Yeah, Mars is still in Leo at this point in time. So it's in a good place, so this is a full moon that I don't know. I think this looks like a full moon that if you stuck somewhere, baby, you're not going to be stuck anymore. That's how I'm going to look at this moon. This is a very, woo, there's a lot going on with fixity because we have Scorpio. Just look at every sign I call out. There's at least one planet there. Scorpio, Pluto, Taurus, Leo. And one of the planets that's in action is Pluto, which is like, let's just blow it all up. And then we have Mars, which is like, let's slice and dice it all up. And then even conjunct the sun during this time, which means it's opposing the moon, is Uranus, which is like, we're going to get a breakthrough. So this is the moon where I think there's an internal breakthrough that can happen where you've been stuck, hurt, wounded in some kind of way. This moon will support you in that. Now, it can create an up level for some people. For some people, it's like, no, I just need to get healed up. Some people have been looking for a financial breakthrough. I think it can help you to get that, even though you might have to kind of do things outside of the box, or it's kind of like it's bringing this energy where you got to be thinking fast and on your feet if you want things to happen for you with this moon. And also it's sextiling the North Node and Saturn, which is on the 20th degree. Woo! But anywho, I think that this is more of a moon that is about getting a breakthrough, a spiritual breakthrough, some type of breakthrough in healing. Um, I think it's mostly that, okay? Because these are fixed signs. All the signs that I named, Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus. They don't want to make huge changes. They like things to kind of stay the same. Not gonna happen here. But I think we're gonna see some incredible, amazing things at this moon. Yeah. in society is what I mean. Okay. So let's see here. The sun moves into Gemini on the 20th. Happy New Year. Happy birthday to all of the Gemini, sun, moon, and risings. It's going to be a great season for you all. I hope Jupiter has served you well. Again, Jupiter is not meant to be in Gemini, but Jupiter does want to bring something, some type of abundance, some type of wisdom, growth, that kind of thing. And it's really for all of us in that Geminian area. So, yeah, Sun goes into Gemini and it brings up all the things that I talked about earlier with Mercury. It just begins to shift us into being more mercurial and it's a little bit social, little bit internal in terms of like the mind and the thoughts. So those are the kinds of things that you can look for. The sun goes there once every year. So it's just time of renewal in the Gemini house in your chart. Y'all know I always like talking about if a planet is visible or invisible. So Mercury goes visible on May 23rd. And that is good, especially since Mercury is headed towards being in Gemini. And so what it does is it just makes this planet a little stronger because Mercury spends a lot of time invisible because it spends so much time close to the sun. So it just opens up this energy for us even more. So, if there's a conversation you need to have or a trip you need to take, it might be really successful during this time, or there's some writing that you need to do, anything with communication, networking. The relationships that Mercury rules are with siblings, cousins, friends, coworkers, people who are in our peer group. I don't know if I said neighbors, but neighbors. So, yeah, all of those could be a little stronger while Mercury is visible. Geminis and Virgos, I think, will love Mercury being visible. And then we're going to have Saturn in Aries on the 24th. So you remember I talked about Pluto slowing down. No, no, no. Let's cancel what I just said. So Saturn is getting into a new sign. The one thing I'm going to say, let's see here. When does Saturn, that's why I don't like making these smaller because it changes how this page looks. Okay, so I just want to see how long Saturn is going to be on the 29th degree. So, okay, just a few days. So it'll be on the 29th degree starting on May 13th and it'll go until May 24th. Oh my gosh. Whew. That could be a rough time. I'm just going to be 100 with you all because Saturn is considered to be in ancient times a malefic planet. I don't want us to just be thinking Saturn is just this bad planet, but Saturn does not play. We could say it's a karmic planet. So from the 13th to the 24th, karma is going to be reigning supreme because the 29th degree of any sign is karmic. So Saturn is getting ready to come through on that 29th degree. And you can even think about the 29th degree as the moment before a baby gets born, or it's like the ending of the end right before there's a beginning, right? And so I just think that there's going to be a lot of karma doled out. Just those few days that's about 10 days or so. Yeah. About a week and a half. Karma is coming because it's the 29th degree of Pisces. Karma is getting ready to be served up. And it could be a rough time for a lot of people. Again, Saturn is the social planet. And, I don't really know. To me, I'm a Pisces, one love, we love everybody. It is just not played out like that. And I really do believe the potential that Pisces has is possible, but the global collective is not on the level that can hold that energy. And it's just turned into a lot of, I believe that there's a lot of people who are very compassionate, but on the collective level, something is wrong. I heard someone say the other day, and I love this definition. Evil is the absence of empathy. And that to me is the problem that we have been experiencing on the global level, lack of empathy, which that is what Pisces is full of, but we're just not there. So, I have to be honest, we might see things happening and with people, and it's very disturbing. I think it'll be with people who are immigrants because Pisces does have to do with immigration or people who are going from one place to another to live other places. It could be the people who are oppressing immigrants are going to meet their day of karma. Could be a little bit of both. Okay, your girl has a lot to say apparently. Anywho, so yeah, mm, yeah, Saturn and Aries. So I wanted to give y'all that because, yeah, from the 13th through the 24th, it could be rough. Then Saturn moves into Aries late Eastern time, it's almost at midnight on the 25th. But on the 24th, a whole new world. So yeah, Saturn and Aries. Wow. Um, it's just a lot of new beginnings. What can I say? Now, Saturn does not like Aries. Saturn is what is called exalted in Libra. It's better than good in Libra. It does very, very well in Libra. It brings a lot of blessings. So Aries is the opposite of Libra. And so it's in what is called fall in Libra. I mean, in Aries. So Saturn is like old, Aries is new. Saturn is like, have a plan. Aries is like, we don't need a plan. I just see what I need to do when I do it. Like, why are we doing all this planning? Let's go. And so Saturn doesn't feel comfortable in Aries. And it's like, we're going to slow it down now. I don't know what you've been doing since I have not been here in 30 years, but we're finna assess things and we're going to get things straight, decent, and in order. That's what we're going to do right here, right now in Aries. And the world is crumbling. We need a whole new structure. So we're going to create a whole new structure. And yet again, another reason for us to be thinking about what is it that I need to be calling into this world? You are born at this time for a reason. We are the ancestors who are laying the foundation for things to come down the road for several decades at least. I think 80 years. We got 80 years of the post-war, post-World War II time, and now it's time for something new. And so Saturn is going to come in, and I think it's just going to come in and assess because it's not going to go. If I remember correctly, it won't go past that 0 degrees. It might get real close to 1 degree, but it's just sitting right there on 0 degrees. And I think that it's one of the reasons why I said we don't actually really know what's going to happen. And, you know, so yeah, I just think that it's going to be very telling. It's going to be very telling. I don't keep things like this in my mind. So just bear with me. Saturn, I think it's going to be around October that Saturn goes. Yeah. Saturn goes back into Pisces September 1st, actually. September 1st, Saturn will go back into Pisces. So May through essentially August is when we will have Saturn on that 0 degrees. So I just think it is coming in to be like, okay, y'all, I'm just letting y'all know I'm coming, I'm here. I'm gonna leave. I'm just assessing things and then I'm gonna come back. How would you apply Saturn and Aries? I think a lot of us need to get something going with our health. I think Saturn and Aries is gonna really, some of us gonna, and I might be one of those. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. We're gonna really be called to task to work on our health and our well-being. To get discipline. Saturn is like, stop just running wild and willy-nilly. You need a plan. All right. Um, and I think it's gonna slow things down just a little bit. Because Saturn is like, we're not rushing. I will say Saturn is, it wants success. It wants things to be better. But it can be a very oppressive energy. So we just need to be keeping our eyes and ears open. We give thanks for the astrology. And I just ask y'all to give the astrology somewhere to go. Be that powerful, divine, feminine being that you are. We are not powerless. We need to be setting the stage for what we want this astrology to do. Okay. Then we're going to have that new moon in Gemini. And so, yeah, apparently Gemini is just really, really going to be heightened up. It's going to be heightened. Quite a bit going on in Gemini because Venus will go there when, oh, Venus has to go to Taurus first. Okay. So yeah, we have the sun that's going to be there, but Jupiter's still there. I think until June 9th or something like that. And then we're going to have Mercury. We're going to have that new moon. And so I personally think that this will be a good new moon for, um it's like a fresh new start. You get to think in a new way, you get to believe in a new way, and you can set intentions around that. And this is a little bit of a business market type sign. So, if you got a business of some sort, go on ahead and set those new moon intentions about the business, or it's also your skills and how you use your skills. So this Gemini and Mercury set the tone for self-made wealth. And it is due to skills. So I want y'all to be assessing what are your skill sets and making sure that, as things continue to shift, if you're not already somewhere where you're using your skills, that you can begin to do that. It is also about learning. So maybe there's some new things that you want to learn and it's using the hands. So maybe there's something, some skills using your hands or just some hands-on things that you want to learn about. That new moon will be great for that. Okay, so I see I have talked a lot. I wasn't keeping up with the time. So I'm just going to talk about the Odu. And I do actually need to share another Odu. No, I'm not going to share that Odu. I'm just going to share the one that I pulled here and then I'll pull a card. So I pulled the Odu, or not pulled. We use cowrie shells in the Ifa tradition. And the Odu that I got was O'Shea. So O'Shea, actually, I want to kind of relate it to this energy of change and transformation. So for the month of May, we are working with this Odu, or this energy around change and transformation, healing. I talked about that Scorpio moon. So I want y'all to use this month as a month to, it's almost like you get to, like I said, integrate and reset. And where you have struggled, this O'Shea is that opportunity for you to turn that struggle into something to where it's more of like a lesson. I heard someone say, oh, it was Kev on stage. He turned his losses into lessons. It looks like he lost, but he actually gained a lot of lessons. Now, this Odu also says a new precedent must be established in order to find good fortune. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. With all this talk around new beginnings, what new precedent needs to be set by you in your life. And the astrology is setting it up. You get to set a new precedent. Why are you continuing to do something that's not working for you? You get the opportunity this month to begin to set a new precedent. And a new precedent, I'm going to tell y'all what I really think this is right now. It's about how are you standing up and being somebody new on the inside of you. Because change begins by you becoming a new person on the inside first. We don't become new once we see the thing on the outside of us. We become new once we shift it on the inside of us. And once we shift it on the inside of us, that which is outside of us is going to have to shift and change to conform to the new us. Because there's certain things that you're available for where you are right now. And then when you become that new person, just shifting yourself on the inside, you're no longer available for those things. There's some things that you aren't available for that you want to be available for in your current energy. And once you set that new precedent and becomes that new person on the inside, you're now available for that. All right. So that's what I'm going to just leave you all with. I'm not going to go super deep because I have talked so much. And I will just go with the oracle that I find to be, I can just shift easily and speak on it. Thank you all so much for being here. Just asking for a reading for the month of May. I'm going to pull 2 cards. Interesting. Okay. Let me make sure. Yes. So the first card I pulled, I love this so much, is the integrity card. Integrity. And just hearing that and seeing this card, what does that mean to you? Where are you feeling that? Integrity. Integrity. It's a fire card, so we have a lot going on in fire. I like that. And this one has to do with the sun and the moon. It's related to Sagittarius. So it says, ew, the glorious full spectrum goddess embodies wholeness and power. She is a shining example of integrity that comes from the alignment and communion of all aspects of her being. So this is what we're looking for in the month of May: alignment and communion in all aspects of her being. I call it congruency. She has achieved wholesome balance of the female and male within herself and radiates with the creative force of this union. This fiery rainbow goddess is here to celebrate the integrity that you now own in this life. So where are you in integrity, and where are you out of integrity? I want you to be thinking about that. Aspects of your essence that have long laid dormant are now surfacing for full expression. Dominant personality traits are falling away as your being integrates the source of who you are. You are now on the path of communion and wholeness so that you may live in integrity and cohesive power in all that you do. And I think that this is the time that will help us to look at where are we in integrity or where are we out of integrity, because it's just the energy that we're in right now. And part of that is all because the month of May is about initiation. Initiation. I'm going to say it. Some of y'all need to join me in this. When I saw this, I'm like, what? Okay. So, initiation. But doesn't matter if you join me or not. We all are on the brink of initiation. So, this is Mary Magdalene, archetypal bride of the eternal bridegroom, the incarnation of love, fertility, compassion, and wisdom. She is here to remind you that you hold the sacred robe. You can see she has on a robe. You hold the sacred robe. No, sorry, not robe. I don't know why I read it that way. You hold the sacred womb and doorway to life through your divine feminine essence. Her power to anoint through the rites of initiation are available to you as you remember the ancient wisdom and teachings that live in your cellular memory. So I just think this is the time. Like, do your best to not say, "Oh, I just must be crazy. Why am I thinking like this? Where is this coming from?" Trust what is coming to you and through you. Okay. Trust what is coming to you and through you. Honor Mary, excuse me, let's see here. Honor Mary through reverence of your holy essence and the power of your inner high priestess as the bride of the spirit where all of creation is restored. So revere your holy essence and your inner high priestess. And that inner high priestess is this knowing, and she guides you even in actually she does the best when things are dark and hard. That inner high priestess does the best work there. But it's like you have to be willing to go into that inner part of yourself and actually listen. And it's like you have to get quiet and have this energy of trust. I mean, I'm being told to tell you about this robe. That's why I said it, because I kind of skimmed it and it talked about her robe. So let's see what it says, because I don't actually know what it says, but I just can't shake telling you about this robe that she's wearing. In her green robe of fertility, she carries the seed of her beloved into the world. Okay. So the green robe has to do with fertility. I can imagine this will be a fertile month. She has a golden halo, which represents her grace and purity of love and wisdom. She is the blessed and enlightened one, the restored bride of the sacred feminine. She initiates all through her anointment of love with the wisdom of the sacred mysteries. So maybe that full moon, even in Scorpio, is going to be a time where we get initiated into some type of mysteries. And maybe I do need to kind of talk about that. Like, wow, that's kind of deep, with respect to, are you going to join the elect gay path or not? And I'm not looking for people just to just sign up and be curious. I want you to hear the call. Don't get me wrong. But one of the things that I talked about, I don't know where, I think it was one of the recordings I made recently, was something has to happen in order for the deeper mysteries of life to be revealed. It kind of goes back to what I said before. Pisces, the potential of Pisces can be lived out, but if we are not, as a collective, aligned in that way, we're just not going to get there. We can't know the fullness of Pisces as a collective just yet. There's a transformation that's going to have to happen in order for us to really and truly embody that, right? We're going to have to go around the wheel again, and it's going to take probably tens of thousands of years for this to happen. But what ends up happening for us in our own individual lives, though, is we are only given, people so badly want the depth, but it's like, what are you doing? I tell you what, I was studying, let me say it this way. I was looking at this because I was like, okay, let me see if I'm forgetting anything about O'Shea. And I just started reading something that was at the back. And what the author, Awul Falakun, mentions is, it's like part of the reason we initiate is because there is this cultivation that happens that opens us up to be able to tolerate, like our orisha, our consciousness, to be able to handle deeper mysteries or more weighty spiritual insights, You know, Mary Magdalene talked about sacred mysteries. And I believe we're here to know all of that. I don't really feel like there's a hierarchy in people. I just think that it's like where you are is going to allow in a certain level of wisdom. And that's why sometimes we do go through that crucible. We do have those challenging times because that is where the depth of understanding deeper wisdom comes from. And so this is a month where I think that all of us are being given an opportunity to really think about what is it that I need to be doing in order to step into deeper wisdom. And that's it made me kind of think about the initiation like, yeah, this is a path to cultivating. You want to do this cultivation of your soul. And O'Shea talks about composting all the things that hurt you so that you can turn the wound into wisdom. And that is, to me, what life is really about. It's about this depth that we feel within ourselves. And the Ifa Orisha tradition is one of the ways to do that. I'm going to stop there. Yeah, I hope that this has been helpful to you all. And I thank you so much for being here. Wishing you and yours a beautiful, healthy, wholesome, fun May. And yeah, may the blessings of the ancient mothers, the great mother, the Orisha, the ancestors be upon you and yours now and always. And thank you so much again for being here. I'm going to take us out on a little bit of a high note. You love belly dance. I want y'all to have a very good May. Hey, I'll get up and dance soon. Take care. One more thing. One more thing. One more thing. I would be remiss if I did not offer you the opportunity to step into the Aleke initiation. Just want to remind you, you don't feel pressure to join, but yeah, learn a little bit about it. If you've been hearing about the Alekes, the Orisha, that tradition has been calling you, I invite you in. We start on May 13th, 9 spots available. All right.